The following is a production of Stevenson Media.
Houston, Texas, the Bayou City, Space City, Clutch City, the H. No matter what you call Houston, as long as you call it home, then you know that down here, we're all about culture. From legendary barbecue, historic rodeos, and a unique slab culture that has completely changed the game. Never underestimate the heart of a Houstonian, because when our backs are against the wall, you better believe that we're going to come through in the clutch. Speaking of clutch, our sports teams know a little something about that too. It's a great time to be a sports fan in the city of Houston. The Astros have been the most dominant team in baseball going on a decade, and the Houston Texans have found their quarterback of the future. Hell, even the Dynamo are trying to add a few more trophies to the case. And the new look Rockets finally have the leadership they've been desperately seeking. With a combination of rising young stars and seasoned vets, they are looking to establish themselves as a force to be reckoned with. What more could the city ask for? How about a podcast from someone who lives and breathes with every snap, every pitch, and every tip-off at center court, just like you do. Someone who's been repping H-Town 10 toes down since he was crawling on the floor and will be until they put him in the dirt. Someone who's watched the Houston Legends put our city on the map and is ready to witness a new era of greatness. The national media ain't putting in work to cover our teams the way that you deserve. Nick Stevenson may not be the voice that Houston asked for, but he's definitely the voice that we need. So what it do, H-Town? Are you ready to hold it down for the greatest city in the world? Houston Sports State of the Union podcast.
Want to tip the host? Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Get a free Houston Sports State of the Union podcast t-shirt with a donation of $50 or more.
This is the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of Houston Sports Nation, Nick Stevenson.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. My fellow Houstonians, welcome to this Houston Sports State of the Union address for the week of April the 21st. I am the self-appointed president of Houston Sports Nation, Nick Stevenson. Thank you so much for joining the podcast tonight. As always, there are 1,000 different things you could be doing tonight. You decided to spend a little bit of time with me, and I appreciate it. Well, today we're talking H-Town Drip. The Houston Texans have released their new uniforms today. They're having a reveal party in about an hour. Why? I don't know. We've known what all these things look like for about 2 weeks now because of all the leaks, but we're super excited about the new look. My brother and the ambassador for the Houston Texans, season ticket holder, will be joining us to show off some of his drip, and we will debate amongst ourselves what's our favorite Houston sports uniforms presently and throughout history. The state of the Houston Astros is not good, people. But guess what? All of you who are saying that you want to fire Espada, you can't do that. Not when you were screaming fire Dusty Baker last year. What's missing in the Houston Astros organization? We're going to discuss it. And I'm going to have to talk to these Houston Astros fans about their wishy-washiness, man. It's bugging me. We're also going to talk to Mike Duncan. We'll discuss the Dynamo versus Austin FC this weekend. And boy, the Houston Rockets are missing out on some fun playoff basketball. I'm a little bit jealous, to be honest with you. But we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to win yourself some Houston Sports State of the Podcast drip. Bro, I got the shirts. I got the hats, everything that you need, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to win today, but only if you can answer some Houston sports trivia. So I'm not just giving it away. All right. Before we get started, though, I want to remind you guys that there are several different ways that you can support the show. One of them you're doing right now. You're listening, you're watching. Hopefully you're clicking share, you're sharing with all your other buddies, your Houston sports friends. And hopefully you're hitting like, follow, subscribe, wherever you get your podcast fixed. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Facebook. And right now we can't do the groups anymore because Meta doesn't like you getting any traction without paying for it. So you can go on the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast page and watch the show there. And then, of course, after the show is done, anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you'll be able to find us there. But I appreciate you guys so much. Also, if you look in the description of the video you're watching or the audio that you're listening to, you will see a link to my tip jar. There is also a QR code right here if you're watching the show. Anything you guys give to the show is much appreciated, and it will go right back into providing you guys great content. And $50 or more will earn you one of these sweet Houston Sports State of the Union podcast t-shirts. There's also affiliate links in the description, the Houston Sports Fan Gear of the Week, as well as all of the podcast equipment that I'm using. If you guys use those links through Amazon, I'll get a little change from that as well. So those are the ways you can support the show. And of course, also, lastly, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, you guys can contact me through my DMs or reach me at hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com. So those are all the ways to support the show. I'm really glad you're here. Man, let's get into it. The Houston Sports State of the Union. Let's go with the state of the Houston Texans. All right, it's official. H-Town has a new look. We got a traditional look. We got a non-traditional look. We've switched up on the battle red a little bit. And also, for the first time in NFL history, there's a team with a fourth helmet. And you're looking at that H-Town blue with the signature H and the red star right now. The Houston Texans decided they wanted to talk to the fans. They wanted to know what the fans think. They want to know how to embrace all of the culture of H-Town. And I got to say, me personally, I think they did a very good job. And thankfully, I have my brother with me, and he is going to discuss the Houston Sports new look and what he thinks about it, and then we're going to debate about some others. Josh, thank you for coming on the show, man. How's it going?
Let me unmute my mic real quick. How you doing, brother?
There he is. All right, man. Hey, I'm doing great, man. I like that hat. It's fresh.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I had to stop by 8RG after work. I tried to go this morning. They opened up at 10. I was in line. And the fans were out there. They were hyped up. You know, they were cheering Houston Texans. The news was out there. And as soon as they opened the door, everybody started cheering. And I got a phone call that I had to leave and go to a meeting at work. So I had to be the guy to walk out the line. And, you know, the people behind me was probably pretty happy. But I was able to come back at the end of the shift. And they still had some stuff in there. But it was really exciting, man. The fans were out. They were supporting the team. Everybody was talking about the jersey. Seeing them in person was definitely something that was it was nice to actually see so many pictures online and the leaks, but seeing them in person was pretty good. So they didn't have any of the stitched jerseys in store. I wanted a stitched one, so I ended up getting the hat, and I got the H-Town CJ Stroud online. They should be shipping to me. So yeah, man, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, man.
It's a new team, and now they got a new look, so that's pretty cool.
So like you said, there was a whole lot of leaks. I don't know personally how you felt about that, but I don't know, man. I come from a school of like, I like being surprised. I was really hoping that the first time we got to look at this stuff would be at this reveal party. But
Right.
from the way it looks, man, it looks like the Texans were probably leaking this stuff themselves. And otherwise, somebody's getting fired. But I think they were probably leaking it themselves because they wanted to go online and see what people thought, right?
I think if they wasn't themselves, I got to give Cal a hell of a lot of credit. The way he handled each league, I thought was pretty cool and classy.
Yeah.
I'm actually proud of him, the way that he's grown as an owner since he first took over the team. He kind of seemed like a deer in the headlights. But his response to the first one, instead of getting upset or denying it, he just comes out and he posts Tank Dell and Nico Collins. And he knows that they look way better than the guy that they hired to go stand there in the jersey wearing some New Balances on. It just had a whole different look with the players.
Yeah, that leaked photo looked like somebody in the third grade was wearing that jersey, bro. That leaked photo was not good. No, I agree with you. I gotta figure I think the Houston Texans probably wanted to leak it because I don't have any inside information. So y'all, all you trolls on the internet, don't come at me. But I gotta believe that maybe they had something else on deck just in case the shit they leaked, people didn't like it. I don't know, maybe not. But what do you feel like the consensus was? You were there at NRG Stadium. What were the people saying about the new look?
Everybody that was there liked it, right? Now I heard all the stuff online. Every time something was leaked, there was a whole bunch of people like, man, that's garbage. It looks trashy.
Yeah.
I heard it looks just like the Atlanta Falcons. Now I will say, when I first seen the home jersey, I thought it was black. And I was like, man, there's no way they're gonna do a black jersey. But they went back to the original deep steel blue that they used to have with Reebok.
Yeah.
When they went to Nike, it was a lighter blue, like the one I have on now.
Yeah.
It's a lot darker, and it almost looks black. But I think on TV with the HD TVs that we have today, especially on primetime games when the light hits it, I think it's gonna look nice, man. Even the H-Town blue helmet has red flakes in it, and you can't see it online. You can't see unless you see it in person. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty dope. I
would say I got most hype about. There was some leaks that I had posted that I was really excited about. One had like the Houston skyline on the sleeve, and there was another one that had like a Texas flag for the home jersey. I really liked those the most. Those had me like super hyped. But I'm happy with what they did, and I know that over time, you look at jersey releases now, and it seems like the Jaguars get a new jersey every year. So I think they might make some modifications here and there over the years to come. But overall, for us to be in the league that long, the Rockets have gotten new jerseys.
Right.
The Dynamo have changed jerseys. The Astros have gotten new jerseys. The Texans, I know I was listening to D'Amico. He was like, man, basically telling the players, y'all wearing hand-me-down jerseys. Like, we were wearing those back when I used to play. So I know it's a new era, a new team. I know they're excited to have a new look. And from what I've seen, man, the city's excited too. For all the hate I heard on social media, the atmosphere inside of the store was completely different. People were looking at them. People were excited. Stuff was flying off the shelf, man. Like, people were running in the store. Everybody was leaving with a bag. So I know they're doing good on jersey sales for sure.
Well, here's what I do know. If you took the time to wait in that line, you went to NRG Stadium today on a work day, those are the true fans that were up there today. Those weren't just the internet trolls and the internet haters. So that's what's up, man. I think all in all, it's a good look. I'm not crazy about the battle red helmet. We'll get into that a little bit later. But what I really, you talked about giving Cal McNair credit, and, I put the link to like the behind the scenes video of the process that the Texans put out on YouTube. And it was a very unique process, man, where they actually talked to fans and asked the fans, like, what do you guys want? And, the Houston blue is what we're going to call it, I guess. I mean, I guess there was no way we could avoid the city of Houston is enamored with that color. It's not quite the Oilers blue, but it's close enough to where they probably won't get any smoke from the Adams family. But that color blue is not just the Oilers, man. You look at the Houston HPD, their cars used to be that color. And I believe obviously that started because of the Oilers, because the Oilers were such a big representative of that city. But I think they did a good job of putting a head nod and ode to that era but also still, embracing all the culture, man. There's a little bit of hip hop flair to it. What Cal McNair's got to realize, there's a whole new generation of season ticket holders coming up. And they're from, born in the 80s, 90s, the 2000s. That's the hip hop generation, man. So I said it last week on the show, there was a time you'd walk into Reliant Stadium at the time and it didn't really feel like a place that was for everybody, right?
I remember that. And
I think
had
Clay
that.
Walker used to open up every game with that Clay Walker song, which is cool, man. Like I don't have a problem with that. It just seemed like there was only a section of the culture that was being represented. And then slowly but surely you started getting, some other parts of the Houston culture. You started getting people like Paul Wall, Bun B performing, at halftime, stuff like that. And I think like you said, Cal, Hannah, McNair, they have a lot to do with that, where they realize like, hey, if we're gonna really, really take over this city, we got to embrace all parts of it. So I think they've done a good job with that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, so you got a jersey in the mail. Have you received you got your tickets yet?
No, they start sending those out before a game. It's all digital now.
Okay.
I did want to show you. I don't know with this digital background. I got the lady a shirt. I don't know if you can see it here. Has the H on the front.
Okay.
It's black, and then on the back, it has the H Town.
Oh, that's
So
dope.
these were selling like hotcakes too.
That's
So
dope. Yeah.
I noticed that they had something for everybody. They had polo shirts. They had like not Letterman jackets. I don't want to say that word because I know we got bad mojo when it comes to Letterman jackets.
Right.
But they had some nice jackets, some hoodies. I know you said you're not a fan of the battle red helmet, but they have a red hoodie where when you put the hood on, it has the horns on the head. And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, like that hoodie was dope.
So look, man, and that's like I said, they talked to all the fans, and I think they knew that just one jersey wasn't going to please everybody, so that's why they came out with this whole closet, and I think they did a good job. There is a little bit of something for everyone. A lot of fans were clamoring for horns on the helmet, and honestly, what they came out with and some of the leaks of that I saw of other designs that people thought it might look like, it looks better than. Because one of them pretty much that I saw almost, it looked like a Vikings helmet, like a red Vikings helmet. I was like, I don't like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely unique, and I think we're the only team with a fourth helmet that actually has a different logo on it. I know the Jets have a black helmet. I know the Lions have a black helmet, but they all have the same logo on it. And one thing that, when I watched that video that was very apparent is the Houston Texans have always represented the state of Texas and Texans well, but Houstonians wanted something like, hey, show us some love. Like, we want to rep H-Town when we rock this stuff. So I think they did a great job, man. And it looks good. So I'll probably have to open the wallet, get a little something.
They had some hats, and I don't know if you can see it. It's probably on this side of my hat. They have the Texans logo with the blue.
Yeah, and that's
The
on the
red
back
heart.
of the helmet too. So that's
Right.
pretty dope,
And
man.
they had the hats with that main logo up front, the H on the side. So in my opinion, they even had the traditional Texans shirts, but it was the brighter red and the darker blue
Right.
with like the Houston Texans font, which we're used to, but it was like a little bit more modernized.
Got you.
So I think that there is something in there for everybody. If you're not a fan of the H Town blue and you feel like, hey, I don't really like that, I like the regular, you have the traditional.
Yeah.
And then to a lot of people love the battle red. That battle red is like super red now. Like the red color is different.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, if you like the original jerseys, keep your original jerseys. You know what I mean? They're throwbacks now. They will be.
Yeah.
Like I love the original jerseys, but I think it's okay to like both. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So after I let you go, I will be showing a couple of slides of like all the new stuff. I gotta ask you though. I mean, all this stuff is new, but you represent H-Town 10 toes down just the way I do. We were born and raised here. We went to Cali for a little bit, picked up a little Cali flavor, brought it back, mixed it with Texas, man. We're like a gumbo pot of culture now. But I got to say and ask you, of all the uniforms that have ever been worn in Houston sports, what do you still to this day think is the best? What's your favorite?
That's hard because of my generation, right? Like I've talked to so many people, especially going to the Texans games, going to the fan events. There's a lot of people that were here, Love Your Blue era.
Right.
and they by far they wanted this jersey to be all blue.
Yeah.
Uh, and even I was listening to an interview with Cal and Hannah. Like they had wanted more blue, but they
Right.
had got pushed back from the NFL, so they had to
Yeah.
compromise.
Yeah.
Now, me
100%.
personally, I never wanted the jersey to look like the Oilers because I wanted to embrace the new era of football.
Right.
And two, if you grew up and you never watched the Oilers and you're a Texans fan, like you hate the Tennessee Titans. Like they
Yeah.
are you know what I mean? There's a team that you don't like. I feel like what they did last year was disrespectful. Now, do I like the spin on the H Town jersey that they made? Absolutely, because I know that that you got to pay homage to your history, and at the end of the day, those are colors from Houston, from NASA to the police cars, like you said.
Yeah.
But I would say my favorite jersey in Houston, just football or in all
All
sports.
sports.
I'm not gonna lie, the black Astros jersey I bought, I don't know if they've ever worn that on the field, but I love that jersey. Like that black Astros jersey is
I'm
nice.
glad you
But I would,
mentioned that. Yeah.
yeah, but
You posted a picture of you and Pops, y'all wearing the hats from that
right,
era. That's my favorite Astros jersey. The black
right,
with the gold star and the gold trim. To me, I
right,
mean, the Astros were trash most of the time when they wore that, but like
right.
just the look of it, like
Yeah.
that was a dope look. That's one of my favorites too. So I'm gonna be, and everybody I talk to, and if anybody's in the chat, go ahead and put in the chat like, what is your favorite Houston sports jersey? How do you feel about the new Texans look? Which one's your favorite? And that's mostly what we'll be talking about today, is just talking about H-Town drip, man. Here's one thing that I know about the city, man. We love to represent. A lot of times we feel disrespected by the rest of the country and this and that. But, you know, you said it when you so graciously did the trailer for this show, man. Like, H-Town's about culture, bro. And I think that Houston Texans did a great job of trying to embrace all of that culture. And it looks dope, man. So I'm going to have to crack open the wallet, give old Uncle Cal some money, I'm sure. And then
Well, I
I know you
appreciate
got girls who are Texans fans too, so you're gonna be spending a lot of money.
yeah. Yeah. My daughter's a huge Tank Dell fan, so I was kind of disappointed they didn't have any Tank Dell, but I'll be looking online.
Yeah,
But I
for sure.
appreciate you having me on the show. Not to go backwards, I did forget about that Rockets jersey that had the rocket flying around the basketball. That is one of my favorite jerseys, even though
That's
a lot of people thought that jersey was ugly. I think that jersey's hard, bro.
Bro, you gave me one, and I wear it because I love Akeem Olajuwon, but I'm gonna get into it a bit later. That's probably one of my least favorite. Like, honestly, bro, we're gonna talk about it. Go back, and if you get a chance to Google it. Google all of the NBA jerseys from like 1999 to like 2005. Some things was wild, bro. It was a weird, bro. The Raptors had a dinosaur dribbling a basketball on the front of their jersey, bro.
Yeah.
Like the Grizzlies, like I call it the cartoon era. And that was, I mean, the Rockets jersey was the same too. It was like everybody's jersey looked like a cartoon, but it's one of those things, man. Like a lot of people hated it at the time, but now it's nostalgic, you know? So, but that's the great thing about this city, man. That's the great thing, like I said, about what the Texans did is they asked everybody, because you wasn't going to please everybody with just one or two jerseys. So I think they did a good job of embracing everybody's ideas that they talked to. And to a man that I've spoken to, I haven't found anybody who doesn't have at least one or two that they like. So I think you can call it a success in that regard. But I appreciate you coming on, man. We're going to have to do it again for sure. You're welcome anytime, but I appreciate you coming through. I'm going to go ahead and get going with the rest of the show, man. But thank you.
All right, man. I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Love you too, bro.
Shout out to
Kiss the
podcast,
girls.
man.
Kiss
Doing your
Ellie.
thing,
Tell
brother.
everybody I love them. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
All right. That is my brother, J.T. Stevenson, the ambassador for the Houston Texans, man. I'm proud of my little bro. Got his season tickets going and everything. Doing the damn thing. But yeah, so it's a generational thing, right? My brother loves the Houston Rockets jersey with I call the pajama jersey, the pajama cartoon jersey. But everybody has something that they like that's unique. And I think the Texans, like I said, they did a great job of trying to embrace all the different parts of the culture. So once again, I'll leave it open to you. What do you guys like about the Texans' new look? And if you don't like anything about the Texans' new look, what's your favorite jersey in Houston sports history? So let me go ahead and share some pictures of the new look jerseys. Here's the home jersey, the deep steel blue. And like my brother did say, it does look a lot darker than previously. I think the font, it pops. I like the red trim around it. It's a good look. It's a good look. And this is probably the closest thing to the traditional look, which is very, very obviously, paying homage to the Texas flag. And that's one thing that Bob McNair wanted to do when he brought this team. He wanted to represent Texans. And I think he envisioned a world where the Texans, not that other team north of us, was the most popular and hopefully, more importantly, the best team on the field in Texas. And so the original jerseys do just that. They pay a lot of homage to the Texas flag. I think the white's the one that received the most criticism for looking a whole lot like the Falcons jersey. And I guess you can only make a jersey look so different, right? I mean, especially Nike's making all of these jerseys. So I'm sure there's several templates that they have, but there's going to be similarities between all of them. But I think that's a tough look. I brought up the Battle Red. This is not my favorite. Of all of the jerseys, this is probably my least favorite. The chrome look on the helmet, that's pretty dope. I do like that. The blue, once again, looks really, really dark. It almost looks black, especially when it clashes up against that red. So that might seem confusing, but I imagine, Battle Red, we usually play those in a division game. Oftentimes it's a nationally televised game. But I think that nationally televised game, I think it got the thunder stolen by this H-Town look, man. What do you guys think about the H-Town look? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I think, me personally, I think it looks pretty dope. And this picture, and I'm assuming that the NFL is going to allow them to accessorize with the blue cleats, the blue gloves, the blue socks. I think that's a pretty clean look. The red, and once again, I could be colorblind, but the red looks a lot brighter on this jersey, almost like a neon type look. But once again, also, I have not seen them in person. So my brother actually saw them in person. So it's very, very possible that that's just the picture that I'm looking at. But I think it's a good look, man. And when I found out they were doing new jerseys, it got me to thinking about the history of Houston and all the different jerseys that we've had. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys. I made a collage of the best jerseys in Houston sports, in my opinion. And then I made a collage of the worst. So let me show you what I feel is the best. For those of you who are listening, you'll have to bear with me. I'll do my best to describe what I'm showing the viewing audience. But for the Houston Rockets, I got to go with the red, the white, and the mustard. Let's say, I think this was from 1984 to 1995 is when they wore those jerseys. Those are my favorite Rockets jerseys of all time. But the Rockets have also done some really cool city jerseys. You guys can see Jalen Green is wearing the city jersey when they were paying homage to the San Diego Rockets. So it was yellow and green. I thought that was a dope looking jersey. A lot of people didn't really care for it. But me personally, I thought it was really cool. Like I really liked it. What else do I have here? We've got some Dynamo love on here. Okay, so Mike Duncan is going to be joining me later to talk some Houston Dynamo. And I sent him a screenshot of this jersey, the black and orange. And I said, Mike, because he told me, I was telling him how much I loved the Still Holden jersey, the purple jersey that you guys see there. And he said, yeah, there was a black and orange jersey. The orange almost looks like it's kind of paying homage to the Astros with the rainbow jersey, but clashed up against that black with the Adidas stripe on the shoulders. I think that looks really dope. The Rockets have had some really good city jerseys. I brought up the San Diego, the NASA H-Town with the NASA astronaut colors, as you guys see there, James Harden wearing with the H-Town on the front, the red letters, the red trim on the white. I thought that was a really, really good looking jersey. And then we talked about everybody's love of the Oilers. The Houston Rockets, I believe it was 2021, did the H-Town Love You Blue. And I think they got in trouble from the Adams family. Da-na-na-na. Yeah, I think the Rockets actually got in trouble from the Adams family for using those colors. But you know what? We don't follow the rules, man. We did it anyway. You guys, if you're watching the show, you see the Astros, the black jersey with the gold trim. That's my favorite Astros jersey. It is not my favorite era in Astros baseball. A lot of heartbreak during that era. A lot of broken hearts and broken dreams in that era. But they look good doing it in the Astrodome. I've always loved the traditional battle red with the deep steel blue helmet that the Texans have worn. I think I would probably prefer that over the new battle red. But still, I feel like Cal McNair and Hannah McNair knew that my generation is not the generation that's going to be paying them money over the next 20, 30 years. I mean, maybe I will. Hopefully I'll live that long. But they wanted to embrace the younger kids, man. And like I said, I think they did a great job of doing that. And then I got Warren Moon there wearing the original Houston Oilers jersey. Look, I know even myself, man, I have a hard time saying that that's not the best jersey in Houston history. It's a good look, man. It's a good look. Something about that powder blue and the white and the red. It's a good look. It's a really good look. But we got to let it go. We got to let it go. Craig Rouse is in the building. He mentioned that the Cougars also wore Oilers colors. Yeah, they got in trouble for that too. Matter of fact, I believe the NFL sent them a cease and desist, but I'm pretty sure that was on behalf of the Adams family. So these are all of my favorite Houston jerseys over the years. I remember when Dwight Howard and James Harden were playing together. That was the Chandler Parsons, Jeremy Lin, Patrick Beverly. Unfortunately, I believe they were wearing that jersey when Damian Lillard hit the game-winning shot of Game 6 of the Western Conference semis with less than a second to go. But still, even though there was heartbreak, I think that's a fresh-looking jersey. Here, in my opinion, are the worst jerseys in Houston history. We talked about it, me and my brother. The early 2000s, the early to mid 2000s jerseys in the NBA, I can't think of one that wasn't terrible. I brought up the Raptors. They literally had a dinosaur bouncing a basketball on the front of their jersey. And the Rockets had a cartoon rocket ship. And the jersey looks like pajamas. I don't like it. I really don't like it. Also, the Rockets, when the NBA did city jerseys that basically tried to combine all of the different jerseys of the teams into one, for some reason, they went with the 1995 Houston Rocket font, but they put it over that ugly pajama jersey, and I was not a fan of that. This 2011 Dynamo jersey looks like an orange creamsicle. That is probably the ugliest jersey in Houston history, and it's probably not even close. A lot of you will probably disagree with this, but I also have the Astros orange rainbow jersey with the orange hat. You see a picture of Nolan Ryan, probably throwing a fastball, if I imagine, the Ryan Express, but he looks ridiculous wearing that jersey. He also looks like he's in like a cartoon Disney movie from the 1930s. It's terrible. I don't like it. And then you see Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming are wearing a Rockets jersey that I believe was the jersey they immediately wore when they came from San Diego. It had the same font as the green, yellow, and white, but it was red, yellow, and white. And I'm not a fan of that jersey either. It doesn't look very good. And I think, personally, and a lot of players have said this, when you look good, you play good. And there were not a lot of good years in any of these jerseys. Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming could have had good years in that jersey, but injuries plagued them. And who knows? Maybe they were injured because of the ugly jerseys they were wearing. I doubt it. Anyway, that was just that was an alternate jersey anyway. They the jersey that they switched to in 2003, which was the one that they wore all the way until very, very recently, until 2 years ago, I think. I think that was a good looking jersey too. I don't have it pictured here, but I think they're good looking. So those are my best. Those are my worst. Once again, in the chat, you guys let me know, what are your favorites? What are the jerseys you loved? What are the jerseys you hate? The chat's not very busy at the moment. I don't know if it's because maybe it's not working, because I see several people there. But if you're watching and you don't feel like chatting, I appreciate it very much. I'm just glad that you're here. And please share with your friends and let them know that there's a Houston Sports podcast from a guy who's local, who loves Houston sports just as much as you do. Yes, he calls himself the president of Houston sports, but it's not because I'm better than you. It's because I'm one of you. And I want to represent you in this crazy world that, yes, I do feel like Houston gets disrespected. We have the 2017 cheating scandal. We're going to have the discussion about whether or not the Rockets would even have championships if Michael Jordan had not retired. You guys know all the things that they say about us, but I'm here to represent you because I believe that we can rise above it and we can be better than it. Okay. So all in all, state of the Texans right now, good. Like the jerseys, like the new look. Once again, I'm not crazy about the battle red, but it might grow on me. It might get better. But all in all, the Texans are the bright spot in Houston sports right now. The next team I'm about to talk about, unfortunately, is not. Let's do the state of the Houston Astros. Well, the jerseys look good. I'll give the Astros that. I like our uniforms for the most part. Not crazy about the Space City, but it's okay. Unfortunately, the dudes wearing them look like turds right now, though. My good buddy Brian Smith so graciously sent me some advanced statistics on the team this year, as if the eye test didn't tell me all that I needed to know. The Astros are not good. They don't hit. They don't pitch. They don't run the bases. They don't get leads. They don't keep leads when they do have them. They're bad. They're not good. And there's no way for me to sugarcoat that. As far as pitching goes, according to these advanced statistics, they have allowed 124 runs. That is the second most in MLB. The starting pitching ERA is 4.89. That's 26th out of 30 teams. Relief pitching ERA is 5.36. That's 28th out of 30 teams. They only have 2 home runs with runners in scoring position. That's tied for last. They've only scored 96 runs. That's very middle of the pack. So when you're giving up the most and you're in the middle of the pack as far as scoring, it's not good. Jose Abreu, I don't believe he has any hits with runners in scoring position. Altuve actually hasn't been great with runners in scoring position. Even the guys with good batting averages, like once we're getting guys on base, for the most part, they're struggling. You got Tucker. He's doing good. Jordan's been decent with runners in scoring position, but it's really the pitching, man. The pitching's bad. Brian Abreu, 4.91 ERA. Presley, 8.31. Hader, 8.38. I think they have an 8 ERA from the 7th to the 9th inning the last time I checked. The Astros aren't good. And it's got all of us asking, like, what the hell? How is this happening? They suck, man. And they suck so bad. This is what blows my mind. Houston Astros fans are now clamoring for Martin Maldonado and Dusty Baker. Astros fans, you don't get to do that. Most of you. You don't get to do that. Not after you spent the last 3 years trying to fire Dusty Baker when all this man did was win baseball games. All he did was win games, win regular season series, win playoff games, win playoff series. He even won you a World Series and was 1 game away from getting to another one last season. It's not Dusty Baker's fault that the Astros could not win a home game in the ALCS. Like, he doesn't swing the bats. His job is to put players in positions to win. And you guys didn't like the way he did that. As a matter of fact, you guys were clamoring for him to do starting lineups, shuffling lineups, pitching changes, the way that Joe Espada does them now. And now you want Joe Espada fired. You guys could not understand why a Major League Baseball team would have Martin Maldonado in the lineup. You guys just couldn't, it blew your mind. You could not understand it. Well, now you want him back. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that. Martin Maldonado, now listen, I'm not talking to all of you. For those of you who are not clamoring to get rid of those guys, listen, I'm sorry I had to yell at your brother and your sisters, but they were being bad. I know you weren't being bad, but look, they've been ungrateful. They've taken this team for granted. They're doing the damn wave in the 5th inning. I said it at the time multiple times on my social media. You guys can go back and check. When the Astros were winning and Astros fans were complaining about Martin Maldonado and complaining about Dusty Baker, I said at the time, this city does not deserve Dusty Baker. They don't deserve this team because you guys were ignoring how great the Astros have been for a decade. And I said this in my last show and the show before that. For those of us who were here when the team was terrible, we're not really tripping right now. We understood it's not going to last forever. Did we think it would come falling apart this season? Probably not, but there were signs that the Astros might not be very good. And I would like to remind everybody still that the majority of the pitchers that should be the starting rotation are on IL. We just got Verlander back. He looked great in his first start. He looked good in his first start. He made it through the 6th inning. That's a plus. What did he give up? 2 runs? Like, compared to everybody else on this team, he's freaking Cy Young, man. We'll see about Framber Valdez. Man, I haven't looked at a lot of baseball news recently, so I don't know what the story is with Framber. If you guys have any insight on that, let me know. But the Astros just aren't good, man. They've blown 6 out of 8 save opportunities. Surprisingly, that's not the most in MLB. There's actually 2 teams that have blown 7 save opportunities. Keeping it real, when I read that statistic, I was actually shocked that the Astros have had 8 save opportunities, because I thought, for the most part, they just keep getting their butts kicked by the 2nd inning. Or it'll be a close game and then they completely fall apart 6th, 7th, 8th inning. So I didn't even know they had that many save opportunities. They're not good, man. And it's getting to the point, look, I know I'm supposed to be the leader who keeps everybody calm during the storm, but it's getting to the point where it's almost too late for them to make this turnaround. It's going to have to be another miraculous turnaround. And I always evoke, is that the right, is it evoke or invoke? It's evoke. The 2005 Astros, because they got off to a horrible start. They were 15-31. You guys know the story. The Houston Chronicle literally buried them. But there's a big difference between that team and this team. The 2005 Houston Astros had 3 Hall of Fame starters. You had Oswalt, you had Clemens, and you had Pettit. And then after that, you had a Wandy Rodriguez, who was pretty damn good young pitcher. and hometown Brandon Backey, who was pretty damn good in his own right. You had really good starting pitching. Then you had the best 7-8-9 in all of baseball with Wheeler, Qualls, and Lidge, before Albert Pujols. But in 2005, the reason you were able to start 15-31, the Astros could not hit. Like, they had no offense. Biggio was over the hill. Bagwell was hurt. We had Adam Everett playing shortstop for us. Had Jason Lane in the outfield. Chris Burke. Morgan Ensberg had a terrible season that year after damn near winning MVP, I believe, the year before. Carlos Beltran was gone. So offensively, the team was not good, but they had great Hall of Fame level pitching all up and down that bullpen. This Astros team does not have that. Right now, on the pitching staff, there is one Hall of Famer, and he's 41. I don't think it's in the cards for them to make this turnaround. I hope I'm wrong. I hate to give it to you like that, but it's starting to get late, man. They don't have a good enough pitching staff to win these 2-1, 1-0, 3-2 ball games. It seems like they can't score enough runs. They can score 8, 9, 10 double-digit runs and still blow it. But there's no savior coming. I keep seeing people, we got to get Abreu, get rid of him, get him off of first base. For who? For John Singleton? I mean, John Singleton's batting .229 right now, which compared to Jose Abreu's 0.7 or .078, I guess he should be in the Hall of Fame. But John Singleton's not doing that great. In fact, they should change his name to John Groundouterton. That was corny.
Hell no.
I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. That was a really corny joke. That was a bad dad joke. But I'm just saying, like, there's nobody in the farm system. There's nobody on the roster. I was talking to Brian this weekend. I know that Yordan Alvarez used to be a first baseman when he was younger and when he was a lot thinner. But he brought up a good point. He's got bad knees now. You don't want that dude doing the splits on first base. You don't want him diving for bullet shots down the first base line. There's no answer. Jose Abreu is it. And I know you're tired of hearing me say it. He is a notoriously slow starter. Although if he started any slower, this man would be literally going backwards. They'd have to take runs off the board. But he's who we got. And I said it. Jim Crane's going to go with who he's got. There's not some big money bat, big money pitcher. Your big money pitcher was Josh Hader. The dude's got almost a 7 ERA. He's terrible right now. And you have him on this roster for another 5 or 4 seasons after this. It's not good. It's not good at all. Michael Duncan's going to be joining me very soon here. I'm very excited about that. I know you guys are probably really tired of me bagging on the Astros right now, but there's nothing good to say about the Astros. And that's just the facts. Mike Duncan's also a very big Astros fan, so he may have something to say about that as well. But here's what I'll say. This is what the Astros are missing, in my opinion. They're missing someone who instills confidence in struggling players. They're missing somebody who can be calm during the storm. Excuse me. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Espada's panicked or anything. But, he keeps giving the back of the baseball card line, which, I mean, really, what else is he going to say? Like I said, there's no savior coming from anywhere. He has to hope that these guys start playing like the back of their baseball card at some point, because if not, that fire sale I was talking about a couple of episodes ago that everybody thought I was crazy. It could be happening, man. I want to say that the good news is that the division's not good. Like, the division is very mediocre, but the Astros are trash. They are below mediocre. They are in last place in a not good division, but they're only 5 games back with a lot of baseball to play. They can get some people back, but it is an uphill climb. It's not one that hasn't been done in baseball history, though. But they got to get hot. They got to go on one of those 8, 9, 10 game winning streaks. They got to start doing, 3 out of every 4, 6, 7 out of every 10. They got to do it soon. Otherwise, we're going to be actually putting a headstone on this season, and for real this time. So, a vocal leader. They need a vocal leader. So they need a vocal leader, someone who's calm during the storm. They need someone who injects confidence into struggling players. Who does that sound like? Sounds a lot to me like Brent Strom, Martin Maldonado, and Dusty Baker. 3 guys you couldn't wait to get rid of. How you like me now? Well, so it's fair to say right now the state of the Astros, not good. But we're going to keep our heads up. We should still support them. Just because they're not winning right now doesn't mean they don't deserve our support. If you want to claim that you're a Houston sports fan and you rep Houston 10 toes down, then you show up to Minute Maid Park. Hopefully the tickets get a little bit cheaper if they keep losing. Go on Dollar Hot Dog Night. That's a good night to go. Take the family. It's really inexpensive. But yeah, state of the Astros is not good. Alrighty. I think I've got Mike Duncan ready to go. Let's do the state of the Houston Dynamo. What's up, Mike? How's it going? Can you hear me? I think you're muted, sir. I cannot hear you. Let me see if I have you muted. Now I hear you. You there?
Yeah, you got me?
I got you now. All right. There's this little bit delay on the video, but that's okay. The audio is good. And that's really the most important, as long as we can hear what you're saying. How's it going, bud?
Yeah, it's going good. How are you?
I'm well. I see you're wearing that black and orange jersey that I was talking about a little bit earlier. That thing is slick, man. I like it. Tell me, was that supposed to be a little bit of an ode to the Astros rainbow orange jersey?
To be honest with you, and they had a little different version. This is the first one. It's kind of in this,
okay.
It's like arrow version.
Gotcha,
and then they did a stripe across. Truthfully, no. Adidas had this style out there for a while in Europe, and I think when they put the orange on there, it just happened to give a little love to the Astros.
Gotcha.
Unbeknownst to them, but no, with the black jersey, I'll tell you, for years, the fans were crying out for a Halloween jersey, right? The black and orange. Yeah. And the ownership at the time, they just kept pushing back, going, hey, listen, we play in the summer. It's 100 degrees, a black jersey. Are you kidding me? And I think as fans, we were like, have you been to the games? I don't care what color you're wearing. It's 100 degrees and we're sweating. I mean, we could be wearing pink or white or baby blue.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
It's hot. Yeah. Right. So when they came out with this jersey at the time, I mean, it was money. And not only was it selling crazy in Houston at the time in 2016, this was the #1 selling jersey for Major League Soccer.
Oh, wow.
Just because it was a cool jersey. So, yeah,
man.
Good props to them for going, listening to the fans and doing what was right for a long time with the black and orange.
Okay, yeah. And it sounds like that's, maybe the Texans took a page out of their book with this new iteration of their look because they talked to a lot of fans and asked them what they wanted to look like. I'll talk to you about that in a little bit, but I do want to talk some Houston Dynamo. They had a game against Austin FC. One thing I did sign up for the MLS package, like you said, and a great feature of that is if you miss a game, you can go back and watch the full game.
Right.
So I had only seen the highlights, and then I went back and started watching the game because I wanted to see. I've watched a lot of soccer games, and I've seen some games where there's not a whole lot of scoring opportunities. This game seemed like it had a lot of scoring opportunities. But as somebody who knows the game, who watches the game, what do you feel went wrong for the Dynamo in this game? Why couldn't they get any points on the board?
Yeah, to your point, Austin had hardly any chances to score. All the play was for the Dynamo. They had chance after chance, shot after shot on goal, and they just couldn't finish. It seemed like every shot went straight to the goalkeeper. They just couldn't put that one away. I would say easily should have been 3-0 in the second half going our way. But again, sometimes it happens when you just can't put it away. I thought for sure it was going to end in the dreaded 0-0 or 0-0. And unfortunately for us, in the dying minutes of the game, a great pass from the goalkeeper to the midfield to the striker, and he just ping-ponged one off the goalpost, and all the fans said, "I'm done. I'm out of here." And that's how it goes sometimes. I mean, if you get your chances, you got to finish. So I
believe that goal was scored in what, the 85th minute?
Yeah, 85th, 86th minute, and at that point, what was done was done. It's unfortunate because it's not only a rival. We don't like Austin or Dallas is our obviously biggest, and it's rivalry week in MLS. So we play Austin. We're playing Dallas this weekend. So we definitely want to win those games no matter where we sit in the bracket. But it was a chance for us to stay hot, and now we went from 3rd to 6th place, which is unfortunate, but we're still early days in the season.
Right. And I did notice that when I was taking a look at the standings. So can you tell how many teams make the playoffs, and what determines, is it their points total, or is it win-loss record?
Yeah, it's a points total. So right off the bat in the Eastern and the Western Conference, your top 4 make the cut right off the bat. And then your bottom 2 and bottom 3, they'll go into what is like a playoff system and see if they can make the cut. So they'll have to play extra games. So similar to like a wild card. They'll have to continue through. So you get your top 4 to get some buys in that playoff hunt, and you wait for your winners. So you definitely want to try to finish top 4.
Gotcha. Okay. So you talked about, you're absolutely right. When I was watching, there were a lot of scoring opportunities, and I thought most of them, like you said, were from Houston. And usually, I mean, that even if they're not scoring, it does call for an exciting game, because you anticipate the couple of shots, the clips that I saw of some of the stops that FC's goalie made. I thought he made some good stops, but there were some missed opportunities, some missed headers, a couple of kicks that went over. And I guess, like you said, that can happen. Would you say the consensus would be that, at least on paper, the Dynamo are supposed to be a better team than Austin?
Right now, I would say on paper, you could say that. Again, we still are a young team, a lot of unknowns on the team, but the way that we've been playing, absolutely, we should be on top. There are still a couple big names on Austin's team, but overall, they have kind of started a rebuilding process, if you will, for them. And without a doubt, and that happens, especially with Houston and Dallas. It seems like 1 year Houston is good, then that year Dallas is bad, and vice versa. But again, I would say, though, with this young team, it's still up for debate what we can really get out of this team. We definitely need to sign some bigger, better pieces. That game, though, the biggest roar of the crowd is when Hector Herrera finally returned. He hasn't played all season. He's been injured. So he came in after halftime, and the crowd went nuts. And he did his part. He may be getting older, but he knows how to play the game. He's smart. His passes are right on the money. He gets guys involved. So if he is back, that's going to only mean good things for Houston.
That's great. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I asked you last week, to tell us a player on the team to watch who plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. And so I thought today we can actually talk a little bit about the game itself, little X's and O's. I was wondering if you could explain to me and to the listeners what the positions are on the field and what the responsibility of those positions are. So, for instance, it's Hector Herrera, correct?
Yeah.
What position does he play? What is his responsibility when he's on the field? And if you could kind of just explain a little bit of that.
Yeah, and we could definitely go down a rabbit hole of positions and who does what in the setup. But for Hector, he's the centerpiece, and so he plays center midfield, and his job is to not only be a holding midfielder. He basically is the distributor. He is the conductor. For him, he's definitely seeing opportunities of who's open. You'll see him even on the pitch, calling and yelling at guys where they need to be. Because again, his soccer IQ is far and above most of our team. But if we start towards the back, we have the goalkeeper, and defensively, you can have different setups, but you have a defensive line. So you have what you call center backs, the two guys in the middle, and the two outside guys, left back and right back. And then you have your midfield, again, different setups, but you have left, right, center, mid. And then your attacking setup. So you have your striker that plays up top, and then you have your wingers. And again, coaches and players and even fans have different setups. You could have 3 guys up top, 2 guys up top, diamond formations. Like I said, we could go down a rabbit hole of setups, but everybody has their positioning. So again, defensively, obviously you need to hold, for the most part within your quadrant, if you will. It's similar to just chess. You got to stay within your positioning, except when there could be corner kicks or free kicks. You definitely want to get the bigger, taller guys in there, but they have to get back on defense. But, again, the basics are there for the setup. But again, having the right guy in the right position, that's key. So sometimes for us with the Dynamo, due to injury, some guys play out of position. So again, they're used to playing that their whole career. But I'd say too, you see that even with baseball late on in life. Like this guy's been a catcher, and then all of a sudden he converts to a pitcher or a first baseman. So I think you still know the game well enough that you could play anywhere. It does take a little time for you to just figure out your positioning. But overall, that's the setup for it.
So Hector Herrera, you said he was the center forward?
Center midfield.
Okay. And so the way you described it, to me, it kind of sounds like he's the point guard, if we were to relate it to basketball, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, I think every team needs that, regardless if he's your rock star or not. Your center midfield, you definitely need one who's an attacking midfield and one who's holding back, calling plays, keeping guys honest, keeping guys involved in the play. So they are definitely the middle, the conductor, if you will.
Yeah. So that's the guy who needs to be smart, good decision maker, and know his team well enough to know how to get them in position to succeed. Okay. Yeah. Sounds like a point guard to me. So that's good to know. I want to ask you, what do the cards mean? Well, I'll start there. What are the different cards and penalties that can be assessed in a game?
So you have 2 cards right now. You have a yellow card, which is a caution, and you have a red card, which means you've done some violent conduct of some sort, and you need to leave the field. So in soccer, if you get 2 yellow cards in the same game, then it's an automatic red, and then you also miss the next game. And then again in the game, if they feel like you've done something violent or could really do permanent harm to a player, you could get a straight red card and then off you go. So there's 2 cards in there.
Okay. So I'm a fan of the NBA, so far be it for me to criticize gamesmanship and flopping, but I saw a couple of plays in this game that looked a little bit suspect to me. So how would you assess the game of soccer, and is it a problem? Is that just part of the game? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What's your take on it?
No, as fans, we hate it. Obviously, if in Austin, right, that game, you just put a finger on them, they were falling to the ground. They were playing the game to delay the game. Even if they would have finished 0-0, to them, that would have been a win. Get out of there with a point. So they were going down super easy. The ref was also calling a lot of fouls when they were going down. He didn't. So once you lose sight of that, it's like with an umpire. Once you start losing the game as an official, you've lost the game. So they're going to continue doing it because they got away with it once or twice. No, I think it doesn't have a good place in the game. They are talking about, I know in Europe and in the Premier League, about cracking down on that. And then actually, if you go down and you go down longer than 15 seconds, you need to leave the field and you can't enter the field for 2 minutes. Or doing something that punishes the other team. in doing so. Now, certain things like where they suspect a head injury, obviously then they need to stop, they need to assess, and they want to make sure everything is okay. Some guys fake the head injury too, but they still have to leave the field.
Right.
But the flopping, to me, no, that's not gamesmanship. It's allowed. If you're in the dying minutes of the game and you're trying to win, of course you're going to go down with a leg cramp or some sort of injury where you're wasting time. Now, what the referee's supposed to do is add that time back on his watch. And when the game is quote unquote over, you get into the extra minutes. He's supposed to add that back in.
Okay.
That doesn't always happen, though.
Right. Okay. So you said the fans don't like it. No. Is it a situation where you feel like, because one of the problems with some of the other sports in these situations, like NBA's tried to crack down on flopping, and they've began finding players for doing that. Is there a system like that in place in soccer? Do you think that would
really
work?
Well, always if you hurt their wallet, I think always it makes an impact of some sort.
Right.
Especially in MLS, where a lot of these guys don't make a lot of money. Right. But if they suspect that, they were going down just too much, too frequently, and then they do go back and find that it was not needed or just done on purpose, then you find them. I think they are looking at ways again to improve the game, to keep the game flowing. There has been talk about similar to hockey, like a sin bin, if you will.
Right.
And some guys having to go off the field for X amount of time for those types of mistakes or flopping, or, even if they deem it, it's a yellow card, but nothing happens. They continue playing. And you're like, hey, they could have hurt our guy. And they still keep playing. So what's the penalty for that? So the good thing is I think that the officials at a high level in FIFA are looking at ways to keep the game honest as possible and flowing as possible.
Well, that's good. At least if it's recognized, that's the first step, right? I think the NBA is having a problem right now where they're doing instant replay and still getting calls wrong. Yeah. And that's a big problem. And that's if you want to uphold the integrity of your league, if you're already going to take the time to stop the game and take a look at it, you got to start getting it right. And I know there's, like I said, I don't follow soccer very well, but I know that, FIFA has had some issues with people questioning the integrity of, some of the people who run it. So I think it would be a good thing to try to crack down on them a little bit. Because like I said, I'm someone who's just watching casually, and YouTube is littered. You've probably seen them with the video montages of people faking injury and soccer. And you don't want to, I think soccer is a tough sport. I really do. I think it takes a lot of cardio. I think it's physical. And I think these are, really great athletes. So you don't want to minimize that by, people falling out on purpose and rolling around and writhing in pain when it's obvious that there wasn't a whole lot of contact there. So I agree that would probably not be great for the sport. And
what it does, I think what it does too is it keeps a lot of the fair weather fans away because it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. I talk to friends obviously too, and that's a big turnoff for them because they just feel like every other play they're flopping, they're this or that. So it does need to be removed from the game. And then I think what it also does, because we have that in soccer too, we have what they call VAR or video assistant referee.
Okay.
And what they do, if they again go back to a play that either they deemed a goal and shouldn't have been a goal, or a foul that shouldn't have been a foul, vice versa. For example, a couple of weeks ago, the Dynamo, a player went down for the Dynamo, extremely hurt, and there was a violent conduct. And they went back and looked at it, and they sent it was a San Jose player, and they sent him off the field. And it was amazing, and it was away from the play. Again, like NBA, if it's not near the ball, you can foul, right? Because you're not the refs are watching where the ball goes, right? So it's similar with soccer. They're watching the ball, they're watching the play there. So if a guy behind you kicks you, no one's going to ever see it. So now it can be seen and it can be dealt with at the same time.
Well, that's good. I mean, player safety, the flow of the game, the enjoyment of the game, that's got to be something that you consider. So that's good to know. I just had like I said, because me as a casual, I saw a few plays where I think there was one where two guys went down at the same time. And there wasn't a lot there. So I was just curious what your take on that was. So you mentioned they have a game coming up against Dallas. I believe Dallas. I was looking at the standing. So do you feel like Dallas is more of an evenly matched game, or do you feel it's still too early in the season to find out?
I think they're also talent-wise, we should beat them. Again, it is early in the season. I think at this point in the season, everybody can win or lose from a lucky goal or a lucky bounce. Talent-wise, I do think that we're matched evenly with them. Again, normally they have tried to build a very strong club year in and year out. And they have a good system of youth that comes in and out. But when you go to their house, and that's where we're going, we play away. It's always also harder to win these away games. So you definitely want to, that's what they say, win the ones at home, win the ones you should. And then these away games, you try to get something out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So what are you going to be looking for from the Dynamo in this game to have a different result? Is it as simple as just taking better advantage of their opportunities, or is there something you think that they can do better in this next game to come out victorious?
Yeah, listen, we've been clamoring for a striker for a few years now. We don't have a true out-and-out good striker. So we have one guy, Sebas Ferreira, who's a young kid up and coming, and he's just not a good finisher. And those of us that know the Dynamo know that right now up front, it's going to be a problem. So we try to, we are not a team that spends a lot of money. So we're going to be a small market team. We're not going to start throwing around, millions of dollars to try to get guys. Hector Herrera was a rarity for us to get him once in a lifetime. I don't see us throwing that kind of money around again. So the thing that concerns me right now is just the status quo. We're getting guys here or there. A guy you've never heard of that used to play in Nashville. This guy you've never heard of used to play in Panama, or another guy you've never heard of comes from Paraguay or Honduras. That's not going to get it done necessarily. But again, look, I'm learning about players too. There's a lot of good players out there that maybe you've never heard of that don't cost a lot of money. But again, I think even with Moneyball, eventually it dries up. So you need to be very careful about how you're going to get wins and how you're going to get goals, because that's going to be the key. So for Dynamo right now, the biggest concern is where are the goals coming from? And as I see it now, the guys up front, it's same thing as it was the year before that. The year before that is we don't know where the goals are going to come from. They have got to do something big in order to compete with these LAFC and New Yorks and Miami if they want to really compete and be in the playoffs.
Gotcha. In soccer, I'm sure they're both important, but what do you feel like the best teams, are they stronger offensively or defensively?
Always. I mean, defense wins games, as they always say in every sport, right? If they don't score, they don't win. So that's obviously key. You've got to have that, because there have been teams that, you could win 2-3-0 or they come back on you and it's 3-3 at the end of the game. That's not good. But I mean, goals is where it's at. If you don't get runs, if you don't get goals, if you don't get, you don't win the game. So you've got to have goals. You've got to have, you got to hunker down in the back for sure, defensively. But if you don't get goals, you don't get wins. So I can tell you now with the Dynamo, this subpar play, a lot of draws, a lot of 1-0, 1-1 games. That's because we don't have guys that can score.
Gotcha. So it's the same as in most sports. You got to have a good balance. And I think you have to have at least one that you're elite at, right? If you're not in an elite scoring team, then you better have an elite defense, and then vice versa.
Without a doubt.
So I'm looking forward to watching this game coming up, man. I'm gonna make sure I watch it from beginning to end. I'm looking forward to it, and I want to see the Dynamo get a W, man, especially against Dallas, right? Like, that's a given.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's an absolute given. So I'm talking about the Texans. They got their new jerseys out today. I wanted to ask you, first of all, what is your favorite Houston Dynamo jersey that they've had? They've had some bad ones, man. I was looking.
So I saw the one that you posted. It has Green Star as the sponsor, and if you don't know, that used to be, at least it's a waste management company, so that they put trash on your jersey. That's never good. It had a collar, which is sort of a throwback to the old European or English type. So yeah, that one was a bit of a struggle for me. Yeah, it's hit or miss with this purple jersey. Let me tell you that right now. There are a lot of I heard you speaking earlier. They definitely hit a home run with the younger generation.
Right.
With the older generation, DJ Screw, who is that?
Right.
Still holding, dripping.
Right.
What are 4.4s? Right. Trying to figure out all that stuff.
Right.
So, but I still think it's a clean looking jersey. When they went to black and orange for me, for sure, that one was a home run. I've got plenty of them where they went with the all black and that. It's still a clean look. Even though they're forever orange, for me, I think that the black Dynamo jersey for me is one of my faves. And you were talking too about some of the other ones, Astros and Texans and the Oilers, and it is hard to not love the OG Oilers jersey with moon with a number 1 on it. And it's no secret, because obviously, like what the Cougars did last year was absolutely a home run. I don't care if they got fined for it or not.
Yeah. No, that was great.
It was fantastic. And I know I didn't know the Rockets did one. That was great too. So it's hard to not. And even with the Astros, my wife will tell you that for her, the rainbow jersey is the OG and her favorite, but it's nostalgic for her. Obviously for me, I say absolutely not. To get rid of those was the best thing they ever did for the club. And
it's just a little too much for me. The one they have now, the blue that's got the rainbow on the sides, that one's okay.
Touch of it.
Yeah, that one's okay.
And I think like Biggio's early days, they had a rainbow down the sleeve.
Yeah,
like
I remember those.
And it was a white with rainbow down the sleeve. Again, a touch of the rainbow is okay.
Yeah.
But full on rainbow Jose Cruz era was a tough jersey.
That's not a good look. I'm glad you were talking about that, because I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite Houston jersey of all time? Any team
of all time, man. That is
it's tough.
That is a really tough question.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys were talking about the black Astros jersey, and again, that was sort of during the brick colored era, the pinstripe era. When we had that Drayton McClain, I believe, owned the team.
Oh yeah, they did a black jersey then too. Yeah, I was talking about the black and gold one from the 90s, but in the early 2000s they did the black.
And I think they had and from memory, I didn't know they had a black and gold. I know they had the dark blue and with the gold stripe.
Yeah.
At the time, a little bit.
Well, it might have been black and white, but it was that same. The same era. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good look. Those were clean.
Yeah. It is. I don't know if I could pick one, to be honest. And I think, when they came out with the City Connect with the NASA font,
that one's really cool.
It was good. Now, when I saw it up close and personal, there were a few things where I was like, so. Yeah. But at a distance, Space City, the love they gave to Houston, I thought the Space City was a home run. Oh, and I brought one that I think is also very cool, and maybe we can see it. The San Antonio Flying Chunkless. So if you know, minor league baseball did this nod to Hispanic heritage, and so a lot of teams went through this. So they have so Corpus Christi has this. Space Cowboys have it. So, but my wife's favorite is the Flying Chunklas. Of course, if you have a Hispanic grandmother, you know what that's all about. So
that's great.
But I thought that was a really cool thing about that MLB did for the minor leagues to give it that little bit of flair for a while. I think they call it the Copa, the jerseys, and most of the teams have it too. And you just find your favorite, Hispanic. Look to it, and they came up with some really cool stuff. Yeah.
How do you feel about the Texans' new jerseys? Have you gotten a chance to see them?
Yeah, I saw them, and I guess I was a little bit disappointed with the white. And I know that someone trying to convince me the midnight blue versus steel blue, they looked very similar. I know the font is better, and that I guess I was just hoping for something new. I knew they had already said they weren't going to address the actual logo itself. I thought that the bull needed a facelift. I thought that they could have redesigned it, reconstructed it in a way. And again, it's not so iconic that you can't get rid of it, like it's the Green Bay Packers, kind of thing. But
that's true.
But I really thought that they could have given that logo some love, and then maybe just gotten away from that deep blue and steel color, midnight blue now as they call it. Yeah. I know fans love Battle Red. That's fire for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it. But and even the H, I thought that's probably the cleanest looking one that they did.
Yeah.
I thought that the colors were good. And anytime you're going to put a little bit of baby blue, powder blue, whatever you can get away with saying, so you don't get sued.
Exactly.
But I thought that the H, and I think you said it earlier, where it just gives Houston, not Texas, but Houston some love and say, this is our team first.
Absolutely.
And others can love it, but it first and foremost, this is H-Town. And
they're going to jump on the bandwagon now, brother. Trust me. They're already talking about how Dallas is not the best team in Houston or in Texas anymore. So, which I feel like it's been that way for a while, other than the last few years. But yeah, the Texans and the Cowboys have won the same amount of playoff games in the time that the Texans have been, in existence. So, the way I see
I get it. I mean, and even when the Texans were named the Texans, and I was like, really? Because that used to be the Dallas Texans.
Right.
And I was like, can we just not? But what's done is done, right? We've moved on.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think Cowboys fans are born, right? So your dad loved them and your grandpa loved them, so you love them.
Right.
But everybody else, you get free reign. So I think unless it's in your family, you get the ability to choose, right?
100%. Well, man, I really enjoyed this conversation. I can't wait to watch some soccer. You guys, if you want to watch MLS, you want to support the Dynamo, once again, Apple TV Plus has the MLS package. It's $12.99 a month. That's in addition to if you're already paying for Apple TV Plus. Can you get the MLS package without having Apple TV Plus?
You can.
Okay.
And I don't know the price offhand, maybe $12.99, but you can just get the MLS package and you don't get all the.
You don't have to have all the other stuff too.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, man, I'm looking forward to that game. I can't wait to actually sit down and watch some soccer, man. It's going to be fun. And I thank you so much for coming on again. I think we settled on the Tuesday shows. I'll see you. I think that's the Tuesday show. I believe is the first and last week of the month. So if that works for you, man, I love having these conversations, man. I can't wait to talk about these games coming up.
Sounds good.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Alrighty.
All right. That is Mike Duncan at Mike Duncan 09. And he's so graciously joining us again to talk Houston Dynamo. Okay. Make sure that he's gone. All right. So, Houston Dynamo, Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Astros. That's the main teams that we discuss on the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. I can't really give a state of the Houston Dynamo right now because I'm still too new to it. And they just came off of a loss to one of our in-state rivals. So I'll hold off on giving them a grade or anything like that. But I'm excited to be talking something new, something different, and something that I can get into to rep H-Town in just another way. So that's really exciting. I think I told you guys I would let you know what my favorite Houston jersey of all time is. I don't want to do it. Because I keep telling Houston, let go. Let go of the Oilers. Let go of the baby blue, powder blue, love you blue, whatever you want to call it. But it's so fire, man. And especially when the Cougars, came out with their version, it's a good look. It's a good look. And it's something about the brighter colors for me. I know, even though I'm old school and most of us like the dark colors, the Houston Oilers jersey is probably still the best jersey in this city's history. And that's so hard to say because we're supposed to be moving on from it. I know. All right, guys. The state of the union in Houston, despite the Astros struggling, I think the Texans and the Rockets' optimism is really carrying them right now. Now, if you're not a basketball or a football fan, you're probably feeling pretty miserable right now. What I will say is let's give it some time. The Astros are not in a good place. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But let's give it some time. Still a lot of games to go. Let's see if in the next few weeks they can at least play Can we play 500 ball at least? They need to play better than 500 ball. Let's see if some of these guys can come out of this slump. We might start having to have a discussion about the morale, about the attitude, about the desire of some of the players on this team. Are they kind of looking ahead, knowing that they're not going to be here? I know they're professionals and they're supposed to do their job, but they're also human, man. And it's got to be hard for someone like Alex Bregman to not know what his future holds. And I don't know what Dana Brown's policy and almost wanted to call him Drayton McClain and Jim Crane's policy is on negotiating during the season. I don't know if they're doing that or not. But there's got to be a little bit of a human element where some of these guys who, don't have long-term deals, maybe they're already looking ahead to when they're not here anymore. I don't know. But all I know is for Astros fans, we've been so spoiled over the last 10 years. It's very difficult to watch a product as bad as this product has been. All right, guys, but I'm still going to say the Houston Sports State of the Union is good. So that's going to be the show for tonight. I thank you guys so much for joining me. I thank my guest, Joshua Stevenson, a.k.a. DJ Mulatto, a.k.a. My Baby Bro. I want to thank Mike Duncan for coming on and talking some Houston Dynamo. Really quick before I get out of here, though, let me remind you once more of the ways you can support the show. You've been doing one of them already. You're watching, you're listening, hopefully sharing, hitting follow, hitting like, hitting subscribe. Anywhere you get your podcast fix, you can find the Houston Sports State of the Union. There is a link to my link tree in the description of this video or this audio that you're either watching or listening to. All the links to the social medias are there. There's a link to the tip jar on that link tree. Everything Houston Sports State of the Union podcast, you'll find there. The QR code right there. There's a link to the tip jar also in the description. And then you have my affiliate links for both the fan gear for all of our Houston teams and the equipment used in this studio to bring you this fine podcast. If you guys purchase off of my Amazon links, then I will receive compensation from that as well. And then once again, sponsorship. If you're interested in sponsoring your business on the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast, I would love to talk to you about it. Just email me at hshoustonsportspod@gmail.com. Guys, is going to do it for this week. Next week's show is going to be on a Thursday. I'm going to say Thursday, 5:30, tentatively. Might push that back to 7:30. Still trying to find that sweet spot. But I thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. In the meantime, you stay 10 toes down for H-Town. I love you. I'll see you next week.
This has been the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast, hosted by Nick Stevenson. Tune in next week for more news and analysis of your favorite Houston teams. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, the app, formerly known as Twitter, if that's even really still a thing. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.